This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in our last session, we understood how to replicate the AP and AR related items to the central finance system. Okay, we tried to create few invoices, few AP invoices, and based on the replication object, system has automatically replicated it to the central finance system. Okay, let's see one more scenario just to get it very clear before we go to the next topic. So if I go to my source company code in my source system and try to create a AP invoice, okay, with whatever vendor we created. I hope this is correct. Let's see. No, this one. So let's take this vendor. I'm just entering the date, some reference, amount, and then the GL account and the cost center. Right. So if I post this document in my source system, immediately, if my replication is active, this document would be triggered to my central finance system. Okay, so if I go to my central finance system now to verify if this document has been posted or not, I can directly go to FB03 and verify whether this document is posted. If it is not posted, then I have to check in the error interface if there is any error which is stopping this document to be posted. Okay, so if I go to FB03 and in the document list, if I just tell the system that I want to see all those documents which are coming from this logical system, okay, even if you can write the entry date so that it will only restrict those documents which are entered today itself in company code CF03, because we mapped CF01 in the source system to CF03 in the target system. Okay, we can see there is one document just now posted. You can see this is the document number, and I think this is the document number that we got in our source system. You can see this document is replicated in the target system. Okay, so in this particular scenario, if I see whether this document is open or cleared, so currently what is happening is this document is open in both source system as well as target system. Okay, so this is one of the scenario when you are using the central finance. Basically, there are, if you remember, we discussed there are multiple scenarios in central finance if you are using central payments or not. So if you are not using central payments, or maybe let me first tell you what are the different scenarios. The scenario number one, this is your source and this is your target. So in scenario number one, which was available from SAP when SAP initially launched central finance, was in the source system, AP AR items will remain open, okay, till the time the payment is not made by the customer or vendor. In the target system, by default, AR and AP items, so open items, will get technically cleared. Okay, so the first version of central finance, when SAP introduced central finance, it was not possible to replicate the open items into the target system. What was happening is all the open items were replicated in the target system, but in order to avoid the duplicate payment, it should not happen that these items are open in the source system also, target system also, and you end up in paying the vendor, or maybe definitely you will not receive from the customer, but if you are making the payment to the vendor, it should not have happened that you have made the payment from here also and from here also. To avoid that, initially in the first release of central finance, SAP was only providing this option, scenario number one. But the problem with this scenario is we are using this target system for the central reporting. But is it giving you correct reporting in that case? If the items are already technical cleared, it will not give the clear reporting. Why? Because it will not be able to show you whether the what is the total AP open balance and what is the total AR balance, because everything whatever is coming from AP and AR, it is automatically getting cleared. So that was a challenge. It was only for first version for some time, and then SAP provided scenario number 2. So in scenario number 2, SAP said that it will remain open in both. That is exactly what we are doing currently, right? The document that we posted just now, this is open in the source system also and open in the target system also. And it is customers' responsibility to make sure that they are making the payment only from the source system. And in the target system, they have deactivated the option to pay to the customer. This in short, this option of making the payment would be only available in the source system. In the target system, you should block the users to make any payment. So whenever the payment is done in the source system, automatically clearing entry is coming to the target system also. Okay, that is exactly what we have done in our last session. So for example, if I get a payment, sorry, if I make a payment for this particular line item, okay, so if I go to F-53 and if I try to make the payment for this particular item, it will get cleared in the source system as well as it will be cleared in the target system also. Okay, so that is something which is provided in scenario number 2. Now, starting from, so this was introduced from 1503 onwards itself, the first version of SAP Simple Finance, even not S4HANA. When Simple Finance was launched, there itself SAP provided this scenario. This was provided from 1605, which means in 2016. And finally, in 1709, SAP provided scenario 2, which is central payment. Scenario 3, sorry, which is central payment. Okay, what is central payment? When we say central payment, AP and AR open items in the source system will get technically cleared. Okay, and in the target system, they will remain open till the time the payment is not made, which means the payment part would be handled only in the central finance system. You cannot go and make the payment from the source system. Okay, so this option is called as central payment option, which was provided by SAP from 1709 onwards. And just one thing, even we were discussing last week also, that the central payment is not available by default. Okay, and it is something which will SAP will only allow you to activate after you create an incident with SAP. Okay, so for example, even in our current system, if you want to activate the central payments, we cannot do, because this is not a actual system. This is just a sandbox which we are using for the training purpose. Even in your company, if you are doing these things from the sandbox point of view, then it is very difficult to get this approval from SAP to activate central payment on that. Because when you have to activate the central payment, you have to raise a ticket, raise an incident to SAP that I understood the pros and cons of central payment, and I still want to go ahead and I want to use it. You have to give it in writing to SAP so that later on there should not be any issue. So there are some restrictions. We will talk about it today. I will show you what are the different restrictions when you are using the central payment. So SAP wants you to make sure that you already know the pros and cons, and still you decided to go ahead with central payment, and that is the reason it is not available by default. Any customer who is interested in central payments, after reading the SAP note which is provided by SAP, which talks about all the restrictions that central payment has, even if you want to go ahead after that, then you have to raise an incident with SAP, clicking on that indicator that yes, I know the pros and cons, and then only SAP will allow you to activate the central payment function. So also just remember one thing, central payment is still available as a pilot node. You know what is a pilot node? Pilot node means something which is in the testing period. something which is not officially available for the clients. It is only available for the kind of pilot purpose. Okay, so customers can use it, but they should be aware about the restrictions that the central payment has. So in short, most of the companies who are using central finance today, because if they already are if they already are aware about central payment and still they decided to go ahead for that, then only some of the customers are already using central payments. But most of the other customers would be using the second scenario. So in the second scenario, what needs to be done is you just need to make sure that the payments are being done from the source system, and in the central finance system, you are only replicating the clearing postings. And no one from the central finance should be allowed to make any payments. So all the authorizations related to payments should be completely blocked. Okay, clear on this? Any questions?
So just a quick thing. So is it a 1605 or 1610
No, 1605 cloud version.
with the cloud version?
Yeah. So started from cloud version. See what happens is in between. See, on-premise system is every year.
Yep.
So after 1511, it was 1610. After 1610, it was 1709. But between this year, what happens is SAP provides quarterly releases on cloud, which means in between 1709 and 1809, you will find multiple uh, cloud versions. For example, after 1709, I think it was 1801, then it was 1805, then it was 180 maybe 7 or something. I'm not exactly
Yep.
remember the code, but every 3 months SAP comes up with a new version on the cloud. So this 1605 was a cloud version, starting from where SAP introduced this option. Okay, and once this version was available, obviously the next version, which was on premise, which is 1610, was already having this functionality.
And scenario 2 is mostly used for cash management purposes, right?
Scenario
Scenario
2, there are a lot of other things also. I'll show
two.
you.
Group reporting and other things. Okay.
Exactly. So there are a lot of things. Maybe I'll show you the PPT first, and then we will come here. Just wanted to make sure that this is very clear to you. So see, when we say central processes, ultimately why we need the central finance, we want to manage our processes centrally. We want to, reporting is definitely the starting point. You want to do the consolidated report, you want to do the group level report. That is the starting point. But in addition to the central reporting, what are the other things that you can do? Okay, so number one is a centralized cash management. So if your AP items, AR items, your bank balances, everything, if it is available in the centralized system, let's say you are, just take an example, in your current system, you have three different source systems, two SAP, one non-SAP. And what is happening today, that all these SAP and non-SAP systems are completely independent. Okay, so if I want to know my cash position, I need to go to system number one, system number two, system number three, and then I need to create a consolidated report. But what if I bring the data related to cash position, for example, open AP items, open AR items, what is my bank balance in all those bank accounts, whether the bank statement has been received or not. So all this information, if I can capture at one single place, I'll be able to get the complete overview of the cash position of my company, and I'll be able to take a borrowing and investment decisions directly in the target system itself. So that is centralized cash management. If you want to go for centralized cash management, that is an option. Now,
But that is
obviously,
still considered as a reporting or analytic purposes, not execution transaction perspective, correct?
normally in cash management, you don't do any transaction. Cash
Exactly.
management itself is a reporting tool, yeah.
Right. So
So cash
analytical and
management,
reporting perspective, we are doing it only.
yes. Now, see, one is the normal reporting. Normal reporting means you want to see the balance sheet, you want to see the profit and loss, you want to see the list of open items of the customer, open items of the supplier. So those are the normal FI reportings. Okay, trial balance. These are the normal FI reportings. But in addition to the normal FI reportings, what additional benefits that we can get? So that is one option is you can go for centralized cash management. Okay, so as you said, the centralized cash management is just for the reporting sake. Okay, there is nothing. We normally don't do any transaction in the cash management component. Transactions comes from all the different applications. So cash management is dependent on what? It is dependent on your bank balance. How the system will determine the bank balance based on the postings, based on the bank statements that you would receive from the banks. Similarly, it also needs the outflow and inflow. So outflow means what payments to be made to the vendors, and inflow means what receipts are expected from the customers. So those information is captured in AR and AP open items. So if I have the open items in my central finance system, I'll be able to know that, okay, maybe after 1 week, this would be my cash position because I need to pay this much amount to my vendor and I need to receive this much amount from my customer. So looking at all those information, I can generate my cash management reporting. Okay. Then obviously the most important is central payment. Okay, but as I told you, although it is very important, many companies are looking for the central payment solution. But since it is not officially released, okay, it is a pilot note, it is not officially released because there are some restrictions. So even from SAP's point of view, SAP is very clear that this is a pilot note. It is not released to the general public, to the general customers. Whoever is interested, they have to accept the terms and conditions before start using it. So in short, although central payment is a very important functionality, but it is still not available as the other functionalities are available with lot of restrictions. But going forward, what is happening is with every version, SAP is improving the central payment functionality. So whatever is available as a pilot node today, it was not available even in 15.11, 16.10. Okay, so customers were like, there was no such option, but now at least there is the option with the pilot node. Same way, if you go maybe 1 year down the line, or maybe even 2009 itself, we don't know. 2009 is about to come, right, in another 1 or 2 months. So it may happen that in 2009, all those restrictions which were there in 1909, up to 1909, those are already resolved. So what will happen is this pilot node will become the official release of the product. Okay, maybe in the coming version or maybe in the next version that will come in 2021. So in short, as of today, this is a pilot node that you need to understand. If you are implementing this central payment functionality, then there are a lot of other processes which you will be also able to use without any problem. Okay, without any interfaces that you need to create with the source system. I have highlighted some examples which are also written in the SAP PDFs. Number one is central bank account management. So simple. If you want to make all the payments from one single system, right? If I have, take the same example, I have 3 different systems as my source systems. So one system is having 10 banks, second system is having 20 banks, third system is having another 20 banks. So overall 50 banks, but they are segregated. If I want to use the central payment, there is no point in creating the banks in my source system because all the payments are going to happen from the central payment itself. And that will help me in having a single place for managing the banks. Okay, so instead of again having separate team for source system 1, source system 2, source system 3, I can have a centralized department who is responsible for creation of bank accounts with the proper workflow approvals which are provided in SAP S/4HANA. In ECC, if you want to create a new bank account, it was treated as a configuration object. Okay, so any bank needs to be created. It comes to the IT create the house bank, then the account. Okay, and then only it is available to the users to use it. But now with SAP S/4HANA Advanced Bank Account Management, it is very much possible for the business users to create the bank account. And if the approval pattern is in place, that bank account needs to be approved by the manager or by any other person who is in dual control. Right, so using those new features, it would be very easy to manage the bank account management functionality also. But if you are using this payments, if you are not using central payment, if you are making the payment in the source system itself, then even this central bank account management will not give that much benefit, right? Because anyways, your payments are being done from the source system. So the problem is, even if you use, even if you create bank accounts management in the target, that will not help, because anytime a new bank account is needed, it has to be first created in the source system itself. So there is, in short, no central maintenance. So if you are using central payment, definitely this will be also an additional advantage. Same way, central bank communication management. So you send lot of files to the bank. Every day when you pay to the vendors, whenever you are generating the payment file, it has to be transferred to the bank. Similarly, bank will send you the bank statements. So currently, if all these things are handled in my source system, there are a lot of banks, there are a lot of files which are segregated. Okay, but again, if I'm using the central payment functionality, if all my payments are going from one single place, it would be easier to manage and everything would be managed centrally. Okay, so bank communication management also can be implemented in SAP S/4HANA, which will help us in centralized communication with bank. Okay, but these are, just understand, these are not very, it is not by default. I'm not saying that if you activate the central payment, all these functionalities will be activated by default. These itself are the activities where you need the consulting experts who will be activating this for you. So I'm not saying that, just don't think that, okay, central payment is active and by default these functionalities would be active. These are optional functionalities which SAP is telling you which you can benefit from. It is not necessary that I'm going for the central payment, then I should go for the bank communication management. No, there are a lot of companies who are doing the bank accounts, they are making the payments, they are receiving the payments, but they are still not using bank communication management. Okay, because it may require a separate license. It is a part of FSCM. So it is not necessary. These are just the additional benefits that we are discussing, which can be activated once your central payment is active, so that you can perform all these processes centrally. Okay, same goes for in-house cash management also. So in-house cash management is a kind of virtual bank. Instead of making the payments from different banks, what you can do is you can create a virtual bank in your headquarters, and that virtual bank would be responsible for making the payments to the vendors and receiving the payments from the customers, right? So same functionality is same, whatever was there in ECC. In case of in-house cash, the functionality is same, but only thing is, if you have all this data at one place, you would be benefited by the centralized process. Okay, now in addition to this, SAP also introduced something called as intercompany reconciliations, which was already there in ECC, but now using the new features which are available in ICR, your intercompany reconciliation steps will become faster. Okay, what do you mean by intercompany reconciliation? So there are many companies who are doing the intercompany transactions. Okay, so for example, there is a company who is selling to the group company. So in that case, what will happen is, first company will book as a intercompany receivables, and the second company will book as a intercompany payables. So the problem is, if this is handled in multiple systems, okay, so what will happen, in one system I have booked my receivables part, but the second system would be responsible for booking the payables part. And if it is not done, you don't have the visibility. Let's say you are a group manager, you don't have a visibility that whether the receivables which are created in first system have been created in the payables as a second system or not. Okay, so that is where this intercompany reconciliation tool comes into the picture, which is again a separate tool, again a separate functionality which is provided by SAP, and it has been improved in case of SAP S/4HANA with lot of Fiori based transactions. So this intercompany reconciliation also will become simple if all your transactions are at one place. So with central finance, your intercompany reconciliation will be even faster, even more smoother. So we are not saying that intercompany reconciliation can only be used if you are using central finance. It can be used with the segregated systems also. But if you use along with central finance, then definitely it would be faster because all the data is available at one single place, and using the new Fiori screens, you would be able to close your reconciliation processes faster. And one more thing, if ICR is implemented with central finance, the reconciliation will happen in real time. Okay, what happens if I have multiple source systems? I have to perform the reconciliation. I have to identify where are the differences, and accordingly, I have to create the postings as a manager, right? But if it is central finance system, your intercompany reconciliations, because all the data is available in the same system, as soon as a receivable is posted in one company code, it should automatically booked as a payable in another company code. If it is not booked due to any XYZ reason, system will automatically show you again in the error interface. Okay, so it is not like you would not be able to, you have to compare the reports and all. You can directly go to the error interface and find out why this particular document is posted in receivables, but it is not available in the payables. Okay, so though that much level of information is, or that much level of functionality is provided by ICR tool. Okay, so this ICR, again, what I'm introducing today, don't get confused with what it has to do with central finance. I'm just telling you these are the additional functionalities which can be activated along with central finance to utilize the product in much better way. So when it comes to the intercompany reconciliation, there are actually three processes in that. Number one, reconciliation of the GL account open items, which means if you have created the intercompany GLs as the general ledger accounts, then it would be GL account open items. Then you have customer and vendor. If you have created the intercompanies as customers and vendors, then this would be uh, available. And finally, it is at the document level. Okay, so when you activate the ICR, when you activate the intercompany reconciliation process, system asks you which process you want to activate, whether you are going to take care of your intercompany reconciliation as a GL account open items or as a customer vendor open item, or you want to go ahead with the documents level. So maybe if required, if we are left with the time, we will try to understand ICR in little bit more detail. But again, this is again a separate tool like a central finance, which has its own course, which has its own uh, set of configurations that can be done in order to activate it. And again, this is also going to be one of the tool which would be used by many companies in future. Okay, so now let's talk about the restrictions of central payments. Okay, again, I have highlighted only few very critical restrictions, but if you go through this SAP note 2346233, this will tell you in detail all the restrictions of central payment. Okay, so if a customer wants to go for central payment, this note is prerequisite. He has to go through this note and he has to raise the incident. So central payment is available since 1709. So only 2.5 to 3 years old product. It is via the pilot note. So as of now, it is not official release. It is just based on the pilot note. It is not available by default. Customer need to request it by creating the incident. That is exactly what we discussed. And these are some of the challenges. So invoices in the source system are technically cleared. Okay, if you are activating central payment, this means that you are activating this third scenario. In the third scenario, we already discussed that in your source system, the invoices will be technically cleared. Okay, in the clearing information, you will get this particular code, ALE-external. Okay, they are flagged with ALE-external, and the central payment document is not replicated back to the source system. So what will happen here? Let's assume when you created a document, it was technically cleared in this system. Okay, and then Once the technical clearing has been done, it has been created as an open item in the target system, in the central finance system. Now in the central finance system, whenever the payment would be made, let's say after 10 days, 15 days, whenever you are making the payment, it will not go back and tell the source system that the payment has been received. So this source system will not be reconciled with the target system at all. That is restriction number 1. There is no back posting available. Posting is only from this direction to this direction. There is no posting from this to this. So here it will only show you technically cleared. Here it will not come to know whether it is actually the payment has been made or not made. Right? It will always show you in the clearing information. It will always show you ALE external. Second is the historical open items that you have in the source system before switching the central payment must be paid and cleared in the source system. This is another very critical requirement. Do you think this would be possible? If I'm activating a central payment, let's say I'm activating central payment today. Obviously, if I am a company who is operating from years, I have a lot of AP and AR open items. So the requirement is if there are any open AR and AP items, you clear it before you activate the central payment.
In some scenarios, when we implement SAP as well as for EC, doesn't matter. On the AP side of it, we try to avoid those OP AP items. Instead, we try to make those payments because those payments in our hands. So in terms of the AP, it may be possible, but in terms of the AR, it's challenging.
Right. So not even a single, it is like everything you have to clear. So that is little bit complicated. It is not very easy to clear everything. Right. So yeah, AP side, yes, you said we try, but again, it is also not necessary because there are a lot of challenges even in AP also. For example, the payment term, let's say, is 2 months, and we just got the invoice 10 days back. So it is, see, if the company's position is good, they will try to do it, but otherwise, no one wants to use, no one wants to pay the invoice 50 days in advance.
And also, what's going to happen with the returns and payment cancel or check voided and those kind of a thing.
Right. So that is the reason you have to think about it. Like as a customer, you have to be very clear about this, that this is a restriction. And yes, after understanding this restriction, if you are still going ahead and you are saying, okay, I will clear all my open items in my source system itself, or I will not migrate my open items in my target system at all. So even if you don't migrate, that is also the problem. Then your reporting will be only starting from the day when you are implementing the central finance. What about the old reporting? That you will not be able to get. So that is a actually strategic decision which the customer needs to take, that whether this is okay for the customer or there should be some other option. But again, as I told you, SAP is working on these challenges, and even in my next slide, I will tell you one more SAP note which is provided by SAP, which will try to solve this problem, not completely, but yes, up to the certain limit, this can be solved. So just remember, as of now, the restriction is that the historical open items must be cleared before you go ahead with the central payment activation. Okay, and third one is, what about your VAT and withholding tax reporting? Where are you going to do that? Are you going to do that in the source system or the target system? If you activate the central payment because you are technically clearing your source item or source open items, that is the reason this central tax and withholding tax related reporting you also have to carry out in the central finance system. Okay, so paying centrally also requires VAT and withholding tax reports to be executed in the central finance system only, and there are restrictions on the tax reporting. So not all the features which are available in your source system may not be available in the target system, may not be available in the central finance system. Okay, so whatever reporting you are creating related to VAT and withholding tax for different countries. You have to verify whether those reportings you would be continue to use in the central finance system or not. So this is case by case. Customer has to identify in which countries there are operations. For each country, customer has to check whether the tax reporting is available in the central finance system or not. If not, he has to take the informed decision. Okay, no problem. I will create my Z report or something like it. I will create some custom and take care of that. But again, SAP wants to make clear that yes, there are some restrictions. So read those restrictions before you decide on that. Before you decide activating the central payments. So as I told you, these are just few. There are many others because there are some uh, points which are written for the other components also. So if you are using this component, then central payment cannot be activated. You will not be able to use this feature if you want to activate central payment. So those are not directly related to the core modules of SAP. It is not only directly related to FI, SD or MM. There are some other components also, old components which were used by the customers. So if you are using those old components, then there is a challenge with central payment. And that is the reason for a customer, it has to be case to case basis. So for one customer, he may find that, okay, there is no challenge at all. For the other customer, he will say many of my functionalities will be impacted if I go for the central payment option, based on which he has to take a decision. Okay, so these are the three scenarios. Just now I explained you. So open items are replicated into the central finance. So what are the different scenarios? You can see scenario number 1, which is available from SAP from 1503 onwards. So what was happening is initially, this is your source system and this is your central finance system. So initially when SAP came up with the central finance solution, by default, only open items were transferred in the central finance, and immediately as soon as they reached the central finance, they were technically cleared. Okay, this was to reduce the duplication of the payment. It should not happen that you are making the payment here also and here also. That is the reason initial thought from SAP was to technically clear the item in the central payment, central finance. What is the problem here? The problem was how would I generate my AP and AR reporting then? If my AP and AR, it is already showing it is closed, then it would be difficult to generate my reports, right? So replicate the open items and automatically technical clear in the central finance available from 1503 onwards. You will continue to use the open item management in the source system only. What is the problem? It is not suitable for central reporting since clearing status was not correct. And that is the reason you can see within 1 year, SAP came up with a new solution from 1605 onwards. So this is exactly what is by default available in central finance now. So you can see open item in the local system is replicated as an open item in the target system also. In both the system, this item will remain open. Okay, so you can continue to use the open item management in the source system. Again, there are some SAP notes which you need to check before you decide whether this is okay to you or not. But this is fine. There is no such restriction here that if you want to activate, you have to raise the incident and all. This is just an information that what is allowed to be replicated, what is not allowed to be replicated. It will tell you how the open items would be replicated and how the clearing line items will be replicated. Okay, centralization of finance operations reportings and central process orchestration, which means now you are able to generate the central finance reporting properly because your AR and AP items are also getting replicated as open items. So AR and AP reporting cross system view of customer. This is very important, cross system. So this is not only coming from one system. There are multiple local systems who are sending the data, and you are able to see the AR and AP reporting for cross system reporting. Now, in addition to this, you can use central disputes management, you can use collections management, you can use credit evaluation scenarios, and you can use shared service and invoice management scenarios. So these are the additional features. They were not available here in 1503. If you are using central finance now, in addition to the reporting, we started with reporting, right? Why we need the central processes, why we need the central finance? Number one, companies want to start with the central reporting. Once this target is achieved, they may think of central payment. Okay, even if they don't want this, they can go ahead and use other important features like disputes management, collections management, credit management, and shared services and invoice management scenarios. I'll talk about it. So it is not only the central reporting from FI, you can also use advanced features like cash management, disputes, collections, and all, even in the central finance system. Okay, and the third scenario, this is nothing but central payment. Okay, where you have the centralized open item management in the central finance system. No central finance specific technique for posting back to the source system. This is, you have to keep it this by heart, because normally many times if the consultants are not properly aware, they feel that the direction is both this flow is in the both the directions. So in the interview, if you ask someone what will happen if a document is posted in the source system and central payment is active, if I make the payment, what will happen? You will hear answer that immediately the payment document will also trigger to the source system. This is not a case at all. There is no back posting. This system will never come to know that whether the payment has been done or not. If you want, definitely, if you have developed the custom and you are telling the system that as soon as the clearing is done here, you should replicate the values here, that is fine. But as part of the central finance standard business process, there is no back posting. Okay, so these are the customer specific scenarios. Okay, which is clearly written. This is a customer specific scenario where the customer needs to take the restrictions, and based on that he needs to take a decision. You can see where consistency in certain processes must be determined in case by case analysis. So you have to see according to the customer which case is applicable, and based on case to case basis you can decide whether this solution, this scenario is suited to this customer or not.
Become just a question.
Yeah.
So in this last scenario that you're talking about, does the system provide like any reconciliation report, what has been sent and what has been received on central finance?
No, it is not possible, Farooq. If you are going for central payment at this moment, whatever, not even central payment, if you do anything in your central finance system, you whatever things you are directly doing in the central finance, you cannot expect that it will reconcile with my local system.
Which is perfectly sense to me. Because there is no back posting. So I'm not talking
Exactly.
about that. So I'm talking about what has been triggered from the source system and what has been received by the target system. Is there any reconciliation report or anything?
Yes.
Example is open API items, right? Sent.
Yes.
How many sent? How many received by the target system? Is there any report available?
It is there. It is there. We will talk about it.
Okay, perfect.
Even in case of initial load, also we have a reconciliation report. Even in case of replication, also we have a report.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So as I told you, there was one problem here. There was this line that we discussed, right? We said that the historical open items that you have in the source system, they must be paid or cleared in the source system. And I told you that there is some development from SAP to provide the solution for this. And this is what exactly is the solution. So you can see there are two solutions, but this is still planned. This is still not available for the customers. What is the solution currently? Current solution is if you implement this new SAP note 2654572, this SAP note will automatically block the payments in the central finance system. Okay, what exactly it means? So this is your source system. This is your target system, central finance system. By default, if you don't activate this SAP note, what will happen? System will not allow you to migrate the historical data. It will tell you your historical open items must be cleared before you activate the central payment. But using this SAP note, you can activate the central payment, and what will happen to your historical documents? All your historical documents, when they will be replicated through initial load to the central finance system, they will get payment blocked in the central finance, which means you would be able to make the payments to this particular items, which are open items, historical items, in the source system, and you can replicate the clearing. Okay, in the target system, they will automatically go to the payment block condition. So although going forward, you are going to make the payments from the central payment system, central finance system, as soon as the new replicated documents are coming from the open items, they will paid from the central finance system. But for those historical items, only for those historical items which were there before the central payment was activated, those still needs to be taken care in the source system itself. And that is the reason it is payment block in the central finance system. This is just a short-term temporary solution. You can see what SAP is developing currently is this way. So what they will do, they will, even if you have some historical line items in your source system, they will be treated like a replication itself. So whenever your historical open items are transferred to the central finance system, they will get technically cleared here itself. And even for your historical items, you can make the payment from the central finance instance. Okay, but this is, as you say, currently a planned functionality. Maybe we can expect this in 2009.
So
Clear on this?
Vikram, can you define? I'm a little confused in terms of the historical item. So when you say historical item, you mean only open AR and AP items, correct?
Yes, yes. I only mean open items.
Okay, open AP and AR.
You can see historical
So we
open
are
items.
saying as soon as we apply the note for central enabling the central payment, then this open AR and AP items get cannot be transmitted to these target system.
No, see, whenever you want to implement central finance, what you do the first thing, you do the initial load,
Mhm.
right? Now,
Yep.
when you're doing the initial load, and let's assume in addition to central finance, you also activated central payments, right? So the
Mhm.
restriction with central payment is there should not be any AP AR open item while initial load, correct? That
Yep.
was a restriction here that we discussed, that all your historical open items must be paid and cleared in the source system itself.
Got it. As a part of the initial load, it will not gonna be loaded if we enable the central payment.
Exactly. So in order to avoid that, SAP came up with this SAP note now, where it says, okay, if you activate this and then activate central payment, so as an initial load, what will happen is whatever historical documents are getting available in the central finance, they will automatically get payment blocked here. And you can continue to make the payment from the source system for only those items which were historic.
Is this
New
solution is
items,
available? Is this option is available?
yes, this option is already available. First one is
This
available.
option. Okay.
Yes. The
With what
second
version?
option is now.
With the latest version? This current version?
This one is available only after activation of this SAP node.
And what will the new what will the upcoming solution?
Upcoming solution is same as replication. So what is happening in the replication? As soon as my document is posted in the source system, it is getting technically cleared here and it is flowing to the central finance, and in the central finance I can make the payment.
But how the initial load will gonna work for the historical open API
Same,
item?
same. When you do the initial load, all your open historical AP AR items will automatically get technically cleared here. Whenever you start
Got
the
it.
initial load, all those items will become technically cleared here and they will be replicated as the open items in the central finance system.
Okay.
Okay, so same like how you do the replication today. Whenever a document is posted and if a central payment is active, by default, the items in your source system will go to technically cleared. And all the payments would be handled from the central payment system. Same will go for the initial load also. So if I have 10 open line items, when I'm activating central payment, all those 10 line items in the source system which are open as of today, they will become technically cleared in my source system itself. And they will be replicated in my central finance system. Now in my central finance system, I can make the payment as I do for the normal APAR items which are getting replicated. Okay, so as of now, for initial load, this technical clearing option is not available. And that is the reason temporary solution is to do the payment block for the central finance posted documents and continue to do the payments from the source system. So this is just a temporary solution. Going forward, the solution is proper, which is same as the replicated items. So for initial load, we don't need to go for the second approach. The same approach would be used for initial load as well as replication.
Vikram, sorry, can you quickly just briefly explain what are the two approaches? It looks like there seems to be only one approach.
So you mean to say this too?
Yeah, like, because see, you're saying the short-term solution is with note whatever replicate historic open items and clearing status, and long-term solution is automatically do technical. So right now
No.
the solution available is only the node solution.
No. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm not. First of all, I have not read this. Maybe you can ignore this. If you see the diagram itself, it is very clear. See what is happening here. This is my source, and these are my historical open items. Historical, huh? Historical means which I want to consider in my initial load.
2 year back, I mean not 2 year, but these are like maybe
Even 10 days back.
Yeah.
Even 2 days back.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so which is not, see, real-time replication means what? If I activated central finance now onwards, whatever transactions I will post, those are real-time replication.
Yes.
But whatever documents were posted, even yesterday also, that would be part of my initial load.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So let's assume I am activating central payment today. Yesterday.
Sorry, I lost you.
I posted one AP open item. Yesterday itself.
Okay.
Okay, let's take this simple example. One open item which I posted yesterday. Now I am activating central payment. The restriction with central payment is all my historical items. In my case, there is only one item which I posted yesterday, must be cleared. Okay. Due to some reason, I cannot clear it. I want to transfer this to central finance. So in that case, earlier it was not possible, but now it is possible with this SAP note. What this SAP note says, if you have a AP open item which you posted yesterday, you bring it to the central finance. Immediately, as soon as you bring it, it will be payment block in the central finance. So from central finance system, you will not be able to pay it. So where the payment would be done, you have to do the payment in the source itself, and the clearing entry will come to the central finance. This is a current solution which is provided by SAP. But going forward, what would be the solution? So if I have an open item which I posted yesterday itself, that will become technically cleared in my source system itself, and it would be replicated as an open item in my central finance system, which means I'll be able to make the payment from the central finance system itself, just like the normal other items.
And how will it happen? Do you have, will have to run some kind of a batch program or something for that, or
for what?
Is it for the second solution? Like you're saying that historical, now they will be technically cleared, whatever the open items, if going forward.
No, it would be part of initial load. When you do the initial load, immediately what will happen in the background, whatever items are loaded to the central finance, they will become technically cleared in your source system itself.
Okay.
Part of
And
initial
the
load.
main difference is in the first scenario, the source system will continue to make the payment. And then option 2, the target with system will make a payment.
Exactly. Yes.
But in both the cases, you are are uh, implementing central payments, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Whatever we are discussing is only for central
Central
payment.
payments, correct. Okay, that was what my so okay, but so still with so okay, so despite having central payments, why do we have the number one as an option? Because of some bug or something?
No, no, not bug. See, this is a new product. It is not about a bug. It is about what features are already provided, what features are under development.
Okay,
So these
okay,
features are under development. This feature is already available.
got you. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is again, we already written the restriction. These are some other restrictions. For example, see, I told you that there are a lot of non core modules. For example, if you are using consumer and mortgage loans, okay, or if you are VAT, we already discussed. If you are using maybe this is asset system needs to be configured. So these are, see again, I don't want to go through line by line, but this is all SAP note. If you go to SAP note, again, these are very small number of activities which are written. You can see always consult SAP note 2346233. Same note I entered here. So this note in short is very important. Before you decide to activate central payment, you have to thoroughly read this SAP note. Your customer should agree to whatever is written, and then only it makes sense to go for the central payment activation. Okay, so I think by now you understood that central payment, what exactly is central payment first of all. Okay, number one, you understood what is central payment. Number two, you understood that central payment is not available as other functionalities. Other functionalities are already delivered by SAP. The central payment functionality is also delivered, but it is not something which can customer can directly go and implement without informing SAP. So central payment is available as a pilot note, which means you have to read the document carefully. You have to submit a request to SAP that yes, I read the document and I'm creating the incident because I want to use a central payment function. So SAP will again send you the list of questionnaires. Okay, you have to fill those questionnaires and then only SAP will allow you to activate that particular feature. If you are activating that feature, some of the restrictions are mentioned in that SAP note, and that SAP note also understand this thing. This SAP note which we are talking about, it also keeps on updating. For example, when we go to 2009, it may happen that some of the restrictions that were there in 1909 are already resolved, right? So based upon which version you are implementing, there would be restrictions. So it has to be taken care properly. From the technical point of view, what we understood? From the technical point of view, how central payment works is it will immediately technically clear the open item in the source system. And in the target system, it will just replicate the item as an open item, and all the payments would be done only from the central payment system, central finance system. Okay, that is actually what exactly is a central payment. So just remember, in the source system, items would be technically clear and all the payments would be made from the central finance. This is exactly what is central payment. So when you are making the payments from the central finance system, that particular approach is called as a central payment. There is no product called as central payment. Central finance is a product from SAP. Central payment is not a product. Central payment is a feature within the central finance functionality. Okay. So now what I'll do is, we understood GL replication, we understood AR and AP open item replication. Now I will show you asset replication. Okay, so I will try to create one transaction in which I will post the acquisition. For example, let's try to post the acquisition and depreciation and see how this acquisition and depreciation values are getting reposted or replicated in the central finance system. Okay, this also is very important. Again, you will find one very big restriction in terms of asset accounting also. So what I'll do for going for the asset acquisition, what is the transaction that we use? Normally we use F-90. Okay. We already, if you remember in ECC system, we already created an asset and we already posted one of the document in asset accounting also. So I'm just using the same asset and I want to do the real-time replication. Or maybe if you want, I can create a completely new asset so that we can also understand what kind of errors related to the mappings and all can come. So if you remember previously, we activated one asset class for our company code, which was related to vehicles, this one. So let's say this is my car. Okay, time dependent data. I'm just entering the cost center and depreciation areas. We activated only one for 5 years. Okay, so I want to purchase this asset now, asset number 2. So what I'll do, I'll go to F-90. Okay, here I need to specify my vendor. So this is my vendor. The amount which I am purchasing the asset. So I have to enter that amount. And here I will enter 70, which is debit the asset. Okay, so these are the two assets that I have. I'm going with this 2, which I created just now. Transaction type 100. Okay, and the amount here. Whatever is my amount. Let's try to save it. So asset document has been posted, which means if I go to document display, I'll be able to see that this asset has been purchased. And I can go to report AW01N, which is Asset Explorer report. And I'm able to see that this asset has this much acquisition value. And this would be the depreciation every year. Right? This is clear. Any question till now? You know how to do the acquisition, right? So now I want to know what is the status of this asset posting that I made to the central finance system. So this is my central finance. Again, I will execute the same to see if a new document is posted related to asset posting or not. So execute. I can see there is a second document. Just verify that this is correct. Which document we posted in ECC, is it same in S4HANA or not? So FB03 1907. This is the document that we posted. Let's see exactly. Right, this document is replicated. Let's try to open this document. Can you tell me your findings here? Is it same or there is some problem in this document?
I don't see the cost center.
You're not able to see the cost center. Cost center will not come. Cost center will not come in acquisition.
Okay, and I don't the GA. Well,
Sorry?
it is. Looks good.
Looks okay.
It is not there. Okay,
It is definitely not okay.
it is not there.
Yeah. Where is the asset number? If you see, this is my source. This is my target. In source system, I have a proper asset number. In target, it is even just debiting 40. Here it is 70.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. I see that. I see
Yeah.
that. There's no
So
asset
what does it
posting.
mean? What does it
No
mean?
asset posting. No asset
No
posting is just like,
asset.
yeah, it's a vendor document. That's all.
Right. So which means postings are replicated. See, there are two things now. Number one, if the question is, can I replicate my asset related postings? Answer is definitely yes. Right? Asset related posting is replicated in the central finance. But the problem is the asset posting in the source system would be treated as normal general ledger posting in central finance. which means I cannot report my asset accounting in central finance system. For all my asset management reports, I have to still be dependent on the source system itself.
So you cannot use that Asset Explorer in central finance, is what you mean?
If you are replicating, if you are using asset accounting in your source system,
Mm.
if you are putting the values in the assets in the source system and you are replicating the data, then the asset accounting postings will not come in the central finance system. What the second question that you are asking is different. So it is possible, but other way. So you are asking, can I use asset accounting in central finance or not? The answer
Yeah, we
is
can.
No, no, no. For the replicated items,
no.
not
For the
for new.
replicated
No, new we
items,
know it will be possible.
yes, for replicated items, it will not replicate asset postings. Asset postings would be treated as general ledger postings. But individually, if you want to use asset accounting in central finance, 100% possible. You can go to the central finance, you can activate the asset accounting. But if you are replicating from the source system, replication of asset accounting transactions would be treated as general ledger transactions in S/4HANA, in central finance.
So what do you mean? So you mean to say that only a GL entry would be it's like uh, say asset to vendor, just that's what you're showing here, no?
Right. So I
So
posted asset to vendor here, but it is showing GL to vendor, which means I have to create, see, from the GL level point of view, I can get the report. I can create a non-reconciliation. This GL account I have to create as non-reconciliation account. Okay.
that is not okay. Then okay, I understood what you're saying.
So
So
you are
basically, it's not. I mean, uh, it's not
yeah, yeah.
design. Moving assets is not really a good idea then.
No, we'll talk about that. But first we are just understanding the restriction. Then we will see what are the available options. How can we take care of
Okay,
this
okay,
requirement?
okay.
But again, this is a challenge. So
Yeah, it's
we
a
have
major
a
one.
workaround.
Major one.
Yeah, we have a workaround, but again, it is not a replication. We cannot call it as a replication.
So let me just run this again. So you have purchased an asset in the source system, and that
Hmm.
asset is now being replicated in the target system.
Not asset is not replicated. You purchase the
No,
asset, posting is replicated from the GL
posting
point
is
of view.
from a GL point of view. That means it is only picking up the asset GL, say based on the normally the asset class and the GL accounts are the same. So let's assume the asset class is 1000, GL account is also 1000. It's picking up 1000 to AP.
No. Let me clarify. See, number one,
Uh-huh.
I have posted a document. This is what? This is target. Sorry, this is source. You want to discuss this. So if I go to AP03, where is my source? This one, okay. So this is my source system. I posted asset account debit to vendor account credit, and I can clearly see which vendor, which asset, right? This is my asset number. Now, when this posting would be replicated to the central finance system, it is losing the asset related part. Okay, this asset related information would be lost in between. I am able to get the report on the general. If I want to see the balance sheet, I'll be able to see it. In the balance sheet also, it will show me that asset total asset value is this much. The net book value of the asset is this much. So if I want to see the trial balance sheet, everything will look like fine. But when it comes to the asset management reports, if I want to know how many assets, which asset
Yeah,
has
yeah, yeah.
how much values, what is the net book value of a particular asset, those
Subledger
information
information is
Correct.
missing.
That means that
Subledger.
all Asset Explorer, AR01, AR02, all those reports, you will not
will
be
not
able
be
to see in central finance. You are only seeing
exactly.
basically just the GL account related to the asset. So
Exactly.
it's the GL account to AP, which is just what you're seeing, right? The other part is the vendor AP. Yeah.
Right. Now coming to your question, the reconciliation account. So this account where we defined this GL account in the source system, where exactly we assigned this? We assigned in
The asset class. Asset.
This is
A90.
AO90, basically account for regular asset row in the asset
Right.
class. Yeah, AO9. I think the table is AO90 or T code is I forget.
No, it is correct. It is AO90 itself.
Right.
I'm not sure where in which account determination it is. Let me try this. Otherwise, we will ignore this. I'll just show you.
Yeah, don't worry. Just show one for the group if you just anyone you can.
This is where we defined it. Now, in my target system, if you see our target, in my target, there is another GL account. This is non-recon GL account. First of all, let me show you. This is non-recon. So if I go to FB03, sorry, FS00, okay, and if I go to this one, so maybe I assigned it, no, it is this one, sorry, 200300. You can see here, it is not a reconciliation account for asset because anyways, I'm not capturing asset level information. I'm just capturing the GL level information, right? But how system determined this? It is through mapping. Which mapping?
Key mapping.
Key value mapping. Key
Key
mapping.
map. So in key mapping, system will not ask you asset to asset mapping. System will only ask you GL to GL mapping. So you will go to central finance, in target system mapping and key mapping. So key mapping and this one. Here system will ask you, if you don't provide this, I'll try to show you another scenario also where we will assign some another GL. So if the GL account is not maintained, then you will get an error. Okay, so general ledger account master data. Our GL account is CF, sorry, this is CPX. So CF01, GL account is 2003 and CF01. So you can see this is assigned to 200300. If this is not assigned, it will stuck in the error, in the application interface error. Right? So ultimately, only this mapping is providing the GL account. There is no mapping required. Just see here if there is any asset mapping available here. You can see there is no asset mapping.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Because asset would never be replicated in the central finance system.
Yes, because and it makes sense also actually because if you see asset accounting is basically it's a asset subledger basically. The
No,
actual accounting is happening in the GL only, right?
right. No, see, again, it has a positives and negatives because if it totally depends upon the company. So if a company says, anyways, I am getting my asset reports from my source system, I don't want to replicate it because if you are not using MDG, let's assume you are not using MDG. So what needs to be done is each and every asset, whenever you are creating in your source system, it has to be replicated first of all as a master data.
Now the only issue here I see is even from a reporting perspective, you've pulled in the asset, but you will have to map the accumulated depreciation accounts also here if you want to do proper reporting.
Every GL account, even if I want to do the
So all asset related GL accounts like accumulate everything, including retirement accounts and
yes, whatever
all
accounts,
those would have to be
GL
mapped.
accounts are required, those need to be mapped for sure.
Okay, and then you will be able to see it's basically like you're getting like a top line entry kind of, not
Exactly.
really top, yeah, but close to a top line.
Right.
Like you have 10 assets purchased, you will be able to see that, but you will never be able to see all the other asset explorer reports which give you like asset history, AR01, AR02, then depreciation simulation, all that fun stuff you will not be able to see.
Right. Nothing from the asset side. Asset report, all the asset reports will not be visible because we are not
Okay.
capturing the asset level information in the central finance system at all.
Right. Got you.
So
Just give me.
in terms of the GL, we are good, right? You were saying some kind of a workaround for that?
Yeah. So let me I'll request all of you to be mute just for 5 minutes. Let me complete this and then we will again have a discussion. So yes, the thing is, if you are using asset accounting in your source system and if you have posted the asset related transaction in your target system, okay, asset related transaction you have completed in the source system, while replicating, the system will lose the data related to asset and it will just post as a general ledger entry. Okay, which means if I go to my balance sheet, profit and loss, whatever different reports, from the financial point of view, there is no problem. I'll be able to get the consolidated financial reports as long as my GL postings are getting triggered. But the problem is only with the asset relevant reportings. I cannot do my asset reportings in my central finance system. So now, as I told you, it totally depends upon business to business. What is their reaction to this? Okay, so some businesses will say, yes, anyway, central finance is for the financial reporting. It is not made for the asset level consolidated reporting, right? I'm getting my financial reporting in the central way, that is fine with me. If I want to finance asset related information, I can go to my source system and I can very easily get all those reports. Some other business will say, no, why should I be relied on my source system? If I'm using central finance, everything should be available in the central finance. Okay, so in that case, if a customer is saying that all the asset related information I want to see in the target system, in the central finance system, then maybe another option is you have to completely implement the asset accounting only in central finance. That is also one way where you would not do anything in the source system. Whatever asset related things, you will directly go to the central finance system. Okay, but that is tedious. That is something which is not recommended. Another way of doing this particular situation is, again, you will not activate the asset accounting in your central finance system. I'll just show you one example on the Excel, and maybe in the next session we will try to see if I'm able to show you this end-to-end scenario in the system itself. So what will happen is, let's say, let me first remove all these things. So this is your source. Okay, you are buying the asset, but let's assume you are not activated asset accounting in your source system. So what you will do, you will use an internal order as an investment order. How exactly this thing will work? So while acquisition, when you do the acquisition, what will happen? Your GL account with internal order will get debit. Okay, and your vendor will get credit. Okay, and you will replicate this to the target system. So this is your target. So first of all, when you replicate, same thing will happen in the target system also. Okay, but later on what you will do is settlement
To AUC.
Exactly, settlement of internal order to AUC or to the final asset, up to you. If it is a AUC, then you will settle it to AUC. If it is a final asset, you will settle it directly to the final asset.
Can we
So
do that
settle
without AUC? I think you'll have to do a AUC immediately and then do final asset, I think.
No, not necessarily. No? If I have any values in internal order, I can directly settle it to the final asset. So anyways, it is AUC or final. Ultimately, it is an asset. So whatever values you captured in the internal order from the source system, you will transfer it to the asset. So which means from the source system point of view, you are not tracking the asset information, but in the target system, you are running one additional step in order to make your asset report ready in the target system. This is one way of activating asset accounting in central finance if that is required. If you want to manage all your asset accountings also into the central system, then this is one of the option available. Okay, so from the source system, you will capture the information in the internal order, and in the target system, you will settle the internal order cost into the asset. Once this is done, you can carry out all other processes related to depreciation, retirement, everything in the target system.
But one thing, how in the source you can have the asset there? The asset GL will be uh, you will not be able to assign it to an internal order, no, because there the asset GL is going to be a non-recon account. It's going to be a recon account.
100%. This is not asset GL. This is a normal GL because I have
That is
not
in the
active.
target.
Yeah.
In the source, this
Even I
acquisition.
should not acquisition. This is, I can say, GL posting. Right. So here I'm not using in the source system, I'm not using at all the asset accounting. So this is just a normal GL, non-reconciliation.
But okay. So your scenario is that in the source you are not using asset accounting.
Exactly. We cannot use
But
asset account in both the systems. That is for sure. So either you have to use it in the source or you have to use in the target.
because okay, so I mean, okay, my client.
Nikhil, lost your voice. Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes, Vikram, we can hear you.
Any questions? I think Nikhil maybe disconnected. Farooq, any questions? Have you understood this?
Yes, I'm good with that.
Yeah, Ujay, Vijay, any questions? So maybe what I'll do is I will try to replicate this scenario and I'll show you in the next session, because the problem is internal order object we need to map. Okay, and that is something which are still not tried in the system. So unnecessarily, instead of try and error, we will see how this internal order can be created and how can we do the settlement of internal order to asset. So this is one way. I'm not saying this is the only way. Again, totally depends upon the customer. Many customers, they are still continuing to use the asset accounting in the source system itself. But this is just one of the workaround where if you want to generate your asset reportings in your target system, it can be achieved.
What you could do, I was thinking, is in the target system you can have the GL account mapped to an internal order, not in the source. Source
But
may not be
what's
possible.
so you are saying that okay, so here you will continue to use asset.
Continue to use the asset in the target system. Pick up the, like what you have suggested is very good here. Though in the source, I will not be able to assign the internal order to the GL because that is a non-recon. That's a recon account. If my customer is using, my client is
Asset.
using. But in this, when you are mapping that GL,
Mm-hmm.
do the internal order and then do what you suggest.
No, but the problem is, see, what you are saying is also one of the solutions which maybe SAP can think in future. But as of today, if I'm using asset here, I don't have any option to assign the asset to the internal order in the target system.
Okay. You can't do anything there. Like, okay, benign assignment for this GL, and plus the other. Plus the other problem is, even if this GL if it has to be assigned to an internal order, if it's a balance sheet account, you will not be able to assign it, no?
No, internal order can be assigned. That is not a problem. But only problem is which internal order will you assign? You want the internal order. See, first of all, we are not talking about the new system. We are talking about the replication. Let me give you one example.
Mhm.
See, here you are entering the asset in the source system. I'm assuming we are using asset accounting in our source system. Now, when you're replicating, it is coming to GL. Now you are saying, in addition to GL, can I use internal order? Okay. My first question is, how system will create this internal order, from where it will create the internal order. There is no such mapping,
Hello?
asset to internal
Yeah.
order.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, there is no such mapping, asset to internal order provided by SAP.
No, I'm saying asset to as this GL, source GL to target GL, but target GL is assigned to an internal order.
Which
In
internal
the
order?
or internal order in the target system. We can create,
Which
no?
one? We can create, but who create? That is a question. Normally, we should not touch the central finance system directly. We should not create anything in the central finance directly, right?
Okay.
You want to go with the replication, this all things should come from here. So if I want to use the internal order, how it will be derived? That is a question mark. I cannot, before any posting, I cannot go to the system and create an internal order and tell the system that use this internal order for this asset and for some other asset use
Okay, you
another.
can't. Okay.
That is not possible, right? So this is out of question currently. Currently, the only possibility is asset to GL or GL to asset. So either you use assets in your source system or you use assets in your target system. If you are using asset in your source system, then you will not be able to generate any asset relevant report in the target system using the replication. Now again, if you are activating separately asset accounting and posting something directly here, making the adjustments, that is very much possible. What we mean to say is using the replication, we cannot replicate asset to asset. We have to replicate asset to GL.
One
Okay, and
question,
you
sir.
can work around. I'll not say this is a proper solution. This is just a workaround that a customer can think about. They can create a GL here. They can enter the values in the internal order, and whatever values are transferred to the internal order. Again, this would be GL to GL and then internal order to asset. This is just a workaround. This is not a solution from central finance. This is not a central finance situation.
Correct. So this one that you are talking about is GL to GL, but the GL in the source system is attached to the internal order, right?
No. Yeah, GL. Okay. Yeah, GL with internal order. Yes, we have to do that.
Okay.
So GL2 with internal order. Before doing with this posting, when you create an internal order, there has to be cost object mapping also to the internal order.
So,
Right?
Vikram,
Whenever,
I'm
Yeah.
not
yes, sir.
understanding one thing. What kind of a synergies we are getting it by doing this? The reason is we already have a fixed asset in multiple system possibility is right. So we are doing this. Why not? This is the opportunity for central asset, right? Keep the all the asset in one system for S4. That will be the central finance system. That will be the system of the future. So everything need to be done over there, right?
So that is
Ideally.
exactly the ultimate situation which everyone wants to achieve. But I am talking about the restrictions that are there in central finance today. Today it is not possible. Going forward, yes. If SAP can provide the centralized asset management, nothing like it. But as of now, there is nothing available from SAP in terms of centralized assets management. So currently the solution is from central finance point of view, this is the only solution that if you are using assets accounting in the source system, that would not be replicated as an asset posting in central finance. It has to be replicated as a GL posting only. Going
But
forward, yes. What?
why we need
Yeah,
that?
sorry.
I mean, what I'm saying is, why not just use the central finance system for managing the fixed asset?
You are saying why do we need the central finance to
No.
manage the fixed asset?
Why we don't use, because the fixed asset are the fixed asset, right? So that need to be managed from the system that we will be creating for the future, which is the central finance system. Why not
So you
all the
are
fixed asset need to be consolidated and used from the central finance system? That's what I'm saying. No
okay.
replication, nothing.
That might be
Okay.
a
So
business decision basically,
you
because
are saying
you may want to do
that
it
is also
1 year.
yes. So you are saying GL, AP, AR, banks, I will all use here. But when it comes to, so all these things I will replicate to the central finance. But when it comes to the asset accounting, I will directly start using here.
That's right.
Right. So that is also possible. But only thing is again, when you post the Asset accounting, it is not just asset accounting. It also involves GL, AP, AR. So what would be the problem? If you buy the asset, then your GL balances here and GL balances here may not match. And there is no back posting also. So whatever assets postings you are making here, they will never go back. So it will just create the reconciliation issues. If you want to reconcile both, then you have to go with this internal order option, because at least from the balances point of view, you will still get the balances in GL which are matching with each other. So it is all the business decision, Farooq. There is nothing wrong or right here. These are all workarounds. What we are discussing, these are all workarounds. But what is provided by SAP? SAP has only provided this as of now, that asset can be replicated, but when it replicates, asset related information will be lost and it will be only available for the financial reporting without asset management. This one you need to understand. Whatever workarounds are coming to your mind, that you can discuss based on case to case basis, based on your customer.
One question, sir. No.
Yeah.
For example, if we want to implement in central finance, if we want to implement asset accounting, then can't we use the LTMC template and upload the assets there and keep using that in that case? Because
No.
that.
No. When we are talking about central finance,
Mhm.
we are talking about the replication. What you are talking about, LTMC, it is a legacy data upload, which is normally required in case of one-time upload of assets. What
You
is
will not be able
LTMC?
to use.
LTMC is the tool that we use to upload the legacy data. Yeah, legacy data, we are not bothered about legacy data here. What we are bothered is whenever I post any accounting document, whenever I post any asset document, it should be replicated automatically. We are talking about LTRC. LTMC is different, LTRC is different. One is replication, second is legacy data migration. We are not talking about legacy data migration. We are talking about the real-time replication. As soon as I post any accounting document, it should be replicated. Okay, any questions?
No, only question is I am a little lost on the internal order. So suppose the client has asset accounting active in the source, then we are saying that just map the GL to GL. I understand that part, and that is perfect. The only thing is, and that makes sense. The only thing is, I do not understand that in the target system we are saying that we will have a AUC. That may be that means you're mapping this asset account in the source, which is a balance sheet asset account. But if you are going to
No.
use in the target, if you are going to use
Nikhil, just 1 minute. There seems to be some confusion. So which scenario you are talking about? AUC I never discussed on the standard scenario. I'm talking about my standards. What is my standard scenario? I am making the asset posting in the source system and it is getting created as a GL posting in my target system.
correct. That is well understood. Now we said a workaround is possible.
Right. There is no internal order. There is no AUC here. This is very straightforward.
That is perfect. I understood this and it makes absolute sense.
Okay. So now you are talking about the second scenario where you are saying you will use the internal order. That is a workaround.
Correct. Now,
So what we do in that case is, first of all, number one, create an internal order. Because you are not using, because you are not using asset accounting in the source system. So this is my source system. Let me enter the steps and what.
Okay, if you're not using asset accounting in the source, then why do we even need to replicate it?
No, in order to reconcile the balances, GL balances.
Its source won't have any GL balances only, no?
No. How come here?
You're saying
See,
oh, you're saying that the source is not using asset accounting, but it is bringing in some top line balances from an external fixed asset system.
no. Let me confirm. You bought a new asset. You bought a new car. Okay. Now question number one is this buying a new car, where exactly the accounting will take place?
Okay, so you're okay. So you're saying that it is not using asset accounting, but it is managing assets using a manual system. Like,
Exactly.
okay, okay, okay. Now I get you.
What I do is, this is my scenario. Okay, this scenario I want to track. So
Hmm.
whenever I buy a new car, first of all, I cannot create an asset. Normally I create an asset in the source system. But in this particular case, as a workaround, I am not using asset accounting in my source system. So
Okay,
what
I
I'll do
got
is, I will create an internal order for a car. So this would be my internal order. Okay. And using cost object replication, we already know there is a cost object replication. Whenever I create an internal order here, it will be replicated automatically to the target system.
you. Right.
So what will happen here is internal order will be replicated and
Internal
mapped.
order will be replicated, and the GL account also will be replicated in the target.
No, no, let's take one by one.
Okay.
So internal order would be replicated.
Okay. Okay.
Number two, I created an internal order and now I am making the GL posting. I cannot say the asset posting. This is a GL posting.
Correct.
What is the
That
asset posting? It is GL
uh,
with IO debit
G- GL debit
and vendor credit.
credit. But remember one thing: that GL is here is a balance sheet account.
It is a balance sheet non-reco account.
Balance sheet non-reco account. Absolutely.
Right.
Now, when that gets replicated into the target, are we saying that the target system is an account which is can you replicate? Can you map a balance sheet to a P&L account in the target?
No, no, no. Why do we need that? We don't need that. Let me complete
Okay.
this. I think you
Okay.
get the idea.
Okay.
So we have made the GL posting, GL
Mhm.
with internal order debit and vendor credit.
Correct.
Same thing is replicated here, which means now in our target system, we have
Mhm.
an internal order. And now what we need to do, we just need to transfer the balance from the internal order to the asset.
But
That we never do in the source system.
how we have a balance in the internal order in the target system?
This is what we brought now. Whatever balances we posted here, whatever GL posting we have done here,
Huh?
that same balance is coming here also. Internal order is mapped now.
Yeah, but then in this internal this GL account in the target, that means will have to be a P&L account, not a balance sheet account.
No, no, no. Why it has to be P&L? Why not balance sheet? What is the
How
problem
can
in
you
balance sheet?
you will not how will you post a balance sheet on an internal order? It
We can.
expenses it's a cost object. How we will post? I mean, the expense to expense account debit, any expense account will be
Mhm.
posted to the internal order or cost center or WBS, whatever the cost objects we have, to say AP. That's fine.
Okay, let's
But
do one. Maybe I will go with your understanding. So you are saying, uh, let me
No,
check
sorry,
this.
sorry, Vijay, but the asset will be balance sheet account, right, for you?
No, no,
So that is yeah.
that is
in the
fine. That is
Depreciation can go to expense account, right, but not the asset account.
correct. That's what I'm
okay.
saying,
That is
Vijay.
yeah.
Let me clarify. What if I create my GL account, this GL account as a statistical cost element? Maybe I need to check this. Okay, I don't want to unnecessarily comment. That is the reason I told you. I will first verify it and then tell
Yeah,
you.
no problem. I think this still is workable. It's a good idea. The only thing is, I'm saying that this GL account, suppose it is 1,000, it is a balance sheet in the source. Can I have that same GL account here for the AUC purpose as 1,000 only, but as an expense? Can I map it?
Possible. That is up to
Then
you
that
with
then
GL.
then you can do what you're saying.
Yeah. No, no, but
Then
even
you
here
can do
also,
what.
see, even here also, when you say Nikhil, the point that you raised, that if my GL account is balance sheet, even here also it will not allow you to have the internal order. And that is the reason
Correct.
yeah, that is the reason I believe we need to provide the statistical cost element for the asset account. That is possible. But anyways, that is a separate discussion. Let's talk about this now.
Yeah, but
So,
because I thought that we are we are just creating an internal order in the system, in source system, and that internal order will be created in target. Okay, that's one entry. Now second
right.
is let your posting. Second is what I'm saying is let the GL mapping in the from source to target. Source, let it be what it is. It's a balance sheet account. Let the target be a P&L. Once it comes there, it becomes a P&L to vendor in this case, which
Okay. Is it fine now?
there you go, it becomes a P&L to vendor entry. Now, the only problem is that P&L to vendor entry, you will have to kind of move that to an yeah, even if that is an expense, I don't know how you can we add a internal order later on? We cannot after posting, right?
No.
That will be a
Just 1 minute. See, as you said, if I map this balance sheet account as a profit and loss account.
yes,
Okay, now this is my profit and loss account. It will
correct,
definitely be internal order value. Is it correct?
yes,
So now I have a profit and loss line item with internal order value.
correct. Now it
So
will
what
go
would
through.
my third step? Nothing to do here. This is
Mhm.
already done. Whatever needs to be done in the source system, I will not touch. My third would be settlement from internal order to
That
FA.
will be directly in the target system.
That would be directly in the target system.
That will
Yes.
be
So
business as usual.
whatever
Yeah,
P&L
that's
GL account was used here, whatever was debited here will become credit,
correct.
and whatever FA account will get debited. So
Yes,
ultimately,
yes.
here your GL account with non-reconciliation indicator will show you positive value. Here
Mhm.
your FA account will show you positive value. So the
Absolutely.
clearing account that we used in between that will get knocked off.
That will get knocked
Inter-
off, but that has to be a P&L account. That's all we are saying. That's other this will work. This will work.
Right.
Good,
Internal
good.
order, whatever we used, that was also used for the technical clearing purpose because we debited here and we credited here. So ultimately, our postings are available in FA, which means now onwards, we can do our all reportings related to fixed assets in the target system itself.
Yeah, makes sense. No problem.
This is just one workaround. You can think about many workarounds like this. So this is how it needs to be taken care. But just understand, don't get confused with the workarounds like you assume that, okay, this is part of the system. So the part of the system is only one. That asset accounts in your source system will be replicated as a GL posting in the target system. That has to
Yes,
be very
yes,
clear.
yes.
No need to get confused that there are options when you are going for the clients and all. They are not asking you the options. They will first ask you what is possible, what is not. So you need to be very clear what is possible in central finance as a default solution. Then you need
And
to come out to the work.
right. And this what we have spoken about now is a very peculiar scenario in terms of it being like I don't see I've done a little bit of asset accounting, but uh, I have not they do have source, but they don't have this yeah, some of them do have a manual this thing where they do AUC settlements in source also without asset accounting, but they and using internal order, but the settlement receiver is a GL account. So those kind of things they do. But if they have a regular asset accounting, there will be another situation where they may have classic there and you want to do central finance. That becomes really challenging because then that classic, I don't think classic can be mapped. I think that classic, there's another thing, right, that you were talking about, because other than the fact that there is a restriction for classic, there are some more notes. Other than the fact, I think for classic to be mapped to S4 HANA asset accounting, the classic will have to first upgrade to new asset accounting and
No.
then
See one
S4 HANA.
thing.
That's
See what you are talking, Nikhil, is completely correct, but that is only from the system conversion point of view. That has nothing to do with the central finance.
okay.
You are using central finance, your source system doesn't needs to be on new asset accounting. Even classic asset accounting is fine because anyways asset replications are not going to post into the assets. It is only the GL posting.
Okay.
Right. So what you are saying, that is only applicable from the system conversion point of view. When you are converting the existing ECC system to S/4HANA, that is another scenario of going to S/4HANA. Central finance is another scenario. It is a landscape transformation replication that we are discussing. During replication, there is no such restriction. It can be classic asset accounting or it can be new asset accounting. It can still send the data to the
Okay,
S/4HANA
great.
central.
Oh yeah, because in any case, you are right. Because in any case, in what it is doing is it is making S4 HANA your manual asset system now, just for
Exactly.
reporting. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, no questions. Thanks.
Yeah, so I think from FI point of view, we have seen various scenarios, AP, AR, payments, even the asset accounting. So what we will do tomorrow is we need to see the other replications like cost object replication and the controlling document replication. And if time permits, we will also try to see that initial load is working in the system or not, because I have not tested from last 1 or 2 days. Let me verify if that is working. We will complete the initial load part also. So as I told you, what we will do is this 2 days we will continue with our normal discussions, and then one session, if required, we will have one additional session also. That is not a reason to worry. But as of now, the plan is the last session we will keep just for your queries and doubts. So if you have anything in the system, okay, queries and doubts, I don't mean the normal, you can ask now also. But when I say queries and doubts, that you are getting in the system. Okay, so if you are getting any error or something, we will need one session just to try to resolve those errors that you are getting in the system. Okay, so we will meet again tomorrow, same time. If you have questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, we will stop.
Vikram, I have not received access. Can you just please send it across?
Sorry, Vijay and Ujay, your system access I requested. I don't know why vendor is taking so much time, but maybe today itself I will provide it to you.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Vikram.
Okay. Okay then, thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.